My name is Roy. I'm 38 years old, and I am begging you, please do not touch your partner's phone. Please. I know you think you are strong. I know you think you are ready. But I promise you this, your heart is not prepared for what that phone can show you. That phone is dangerous. That phone can destroy years of love in seconds. That phone can change who you are forever. Before I go any further, please, if this story touches you even a little bit, press like, subscribe to this channel, and comment where you are watching from, because what I'm about to tell you is not just my story. It is happening right now to people everywhere. I am Roy. I live in the city. I work hard. I am not a child. I am not inexperienced in life. I have loved before. I have been hurt before. But nothing in my 38 years prepared me for what I saw inside the phone of the woman I trusted. I met her when I thought my life was finally stable. Not perfect, but stable. I had survived the chaos of my 20s. I had learned lessons the hard way. I believed I knew how to choose better. I believed I could recognize red flags. I believed I was smarter now. She came into my life quietly. Soft smile, calm voice, respectful. She listened when I spoke. She looked at me like I mattered. And slowly, without me realizing it, she became my peace. We were not rushing. We were not reckless. We talked about the future like adults, marriage, building something real, growing old without drama. I trusted her. I trusted her completely. I never checked her phone, never, not once, because I believed trust was sacred. I believed love did not need surveillance. I believed if someone loved you, you would feel it. Until that day. It was an ordinary day, the kind of day you never imagined would break your soul. We were together, relaxed, comfortable, laughing about nothing important. She handed me her phone. Just like that. No hesitation, no fear. She asked me to help her with something simple, something small. I took the phone without thinking, because why would I think? I had no reason to suspect anything. And then it happened. A notification slid across the screen. One message, just a few words, but those words punched me in the chest harder than any man ever has. "Hey, baby, where are you?" My heart stopped. I did not react. I did not speak. I did not ask questions. I swallowed everything, because in that moment, my mind was fighting my heart. I told myself I was imagining things. I told myself maybe it was a joke. I told myself not to jump to conclusions, because when you love someone, you don't want the truth. You want peace. But that peace was already gone. My hands were shaking. My chest was tight. I felt heat in my face and a coldness in my stomach. I stood there holding the phone, pretending everything was normal, pretending I hadn't just seen something that cracked my reality. And then the thought came, the thought that ruins lives. What if I check? I argued with myself. I told myself it was wrong. I told myself it was an invasion. I told myself I didn't want to know. But another voice inside me said, if you don't look now, you will always wonder. That voice won. I opened the phone, and in that moment I crossed a line I can never uncross. I opened her messages, then WhatsApp, then I scrolled, and with every swipe, my heart broke a little more. There were conversations that didn't belong to me, words that were never meant for my eyes, names I didn't recognize, laughter that wasn't ours, intimacy that had nothing to do with me. I saw messages sent late at night, early morning replies, inside jokes, pet names. I felt stupid. I felt small. I felt like a man who had been living in a lie. And then I found the conversation that destroyed me completely. The words were explicit, cruel, careless, things she had never said to me, things she had never done with me.
There were jokes about bodies. There were memories of moments I was never part of. There were plans, future plans. I felt rage boiling inside me, not the loud kind, the quiet, dangerous kind. I realized something in that moment. I had been faithful to someone who was loyal to her phone, not to me. I kept scrolling, even though it was killing me, because pain becomes addictive when you need answers. Every message felt like betrayal layered on betrayal. Every emoji felt like mockery. Every LOL felt like disrespect. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw the phone. I wanted to disappear. But I didn't. I stood there, silent, numb. I gave her the phone back like nothing had happened. Do you understand that kind of pain? The pain of knowing everything and saying nothing? That night I couldn't sleep. My mind replayed every message, every word, every lie. I questioned myself. Was I not enough? Was I boring? Was I too serious? Was I too kind? I hated myself for trusting her. I hated myself for believing love was simple. And the worst part? She slept peacefully next to me, like nothing was wrong, like my world hadn't just collapsed. I realized something dark that night. Some people can hurt you without losing sleep. Some people can lie with a straight face. Some people can love you and still
That phone
destroy
showed
you.
me a version of
Since
reality
that
I was
day,
never supposed
I
to
am
see.
not the same
And
man.
once you see it,
I don't
you can
trust
never
easily
unsee it.
anymore. I
So
don't believe
please,
words
please
quickly
hear me.
anymore. I
Do
don't
not
look
touch
at
your
love
partner's
the
phone
same way.
unless you are ready to lose who you are. Because sometimes the truth doesn't free you. Sometimes it breaks you. This is Roy, 38 years old, and this is the pain I live with every day. If you are watching this and you are suspicious, ask yourself one question. Do you want peace or do you want the truth? Because you cannot have both. And once you touch that phone, your life may never be the same again. I wish I could tell you that the pain stopped there. I wish I could tell you that after that night I became strong, detached, healed. But that would be a lie, and lies are exactly what destroyed me. After that night, everything changed inside me, even though on the outside I pretended nothing had happened. I woke up the next morning with a heaviness in my chest that I could not explain to anyone. She spoke to me like she always did. She laughed. She asked me what I wanted for breakfast. She touched my arm, and every time she touched me, I felt anger instead of love. I looked at her, and all I could see were the words I had read. All I could hear were the messages she had sent to another man. All I could feel was betrayal burning under my skin. I became quiet, not because I had nothing to say, but because I had too much to say and no words strong enough to carry it. I started observing her the way you observe a stranger. Every smile felt rehearsed. Every compliment felt fake. Every "I love you" felt like an insult. I started questioning every moment we had shared, every trip, every late-night conversation, every promise. I wondered how many of those moments were real and how many were lies layered on top of lies. You see, when you discover betrayal, it doesn't just hurt you in the present. It reaches back into your past and poisons your memories. It makes you doubt things that once brought you joy. It steals your ability to remember happiness without pain attached to it. I tried to confront her in my head 1,000 times. I imagined myself asking her why. I imagined myself shouting. I imagined myself walking away with dignity. But when the moment came, I said nothing, because confrontation means confirmation, and confirmation makes the pain final. So I stayed silent, and silence became my prison. Days passed, weeks passed, and the anger inside me grew heavier. It sat in my chest like a stone. I carried it to work. I carried it to bed. I carried it into every conversation. I became paranoid. Every time her phone vibrated, my heart raced. Every time she smiled at a message, my blood boiled. I hated myself for becoming this person, a man who watches, a man who suspects, a man who doubts. I realized something terrifying.
The phone didn't just expose her betrayal, it changed who I was. I started losing sleep. I replayed conversations in my mind, searching for clues I had missed. I analyzed her tone, her timing, her excuses. I stopped feeling like a partner. I felt like an outsider in my own relationship. And the worst part? She had no idea what I was going through. Or maybe she did, and she just didn't care. One night, I couldn't hold it in anymore. The anger spilled out of me in ways I didn't recognize. I snapped over small things. I raised my voice. I became cold. She asked me what was wrong, and in that moment, I realized how unfair life can be. The person who hurt you gets to ask why you're broken. I wanted to tell her everything. I wanted to throw the truth in her face. I wanted her to feel even a fraction of the pain I was carrying. But instead, I said I was tired. Do you understand how painful that is? To protect the person who destroyed you from the consequences of their actions. That's when I understood something important. Sometimes we stay because we love them. We stay because we are afraid of what leaving will force us to face. Loneliness, failure, starting over. I stayed longer than I should have. I tried to convince myself that I could forget what I saw, that time would heal it, that love would overpower betrayal. I was wrong. Betrayal does not fade. It waits. Every argument brought it back. Every disagreement reopened the wound. Every misunderstanding reminded me of how easily I had been replaced. Eventually, the relationship collapsed under the weight of unspoken truth. Not with a dramatic ending, not with shouting or tears, but with exhaustion. I walked away not because I had healed, but because I was empty. Today, I am alone. Not lonely, alone. And there is a difference. I'm rebuilding myself piece by piece, learning to trust my instincts again, learning to listen to my pain instead of ignoring it, learning that loving deeply also means protecting yourself. And that is why I am telling you this. Not to scare you, not to control you, but to warn you. The phone is not just a device,
Ask
it is a
yourself
doorway.
this before you touch
And
that
once
phone.
you open that door,
Are you
must
strong
be
enough
ready
to
for
live with
whatever
the
is
truth?
on the other side.
Because sometimes
If you are already
ignorance
unhappy,
is not weakness.
if you already feel
Sometimes
neglected,
it is
if
survival.
you already sense something
My
is
name
wrong.
is Roy. I'm 38 years old, and this is the lesson pain taught me. If this story resonated with you, don't stay silent. Share your thoughts, share your experience, because healing begins when we realize we are not alone. Even now, when I think I have moved on, the memories ambush me without warning. A song on the radio, a place we once visited, a random vibration from my own phone, and suddenly I'm back in that moment, staring at a screen that told me everything I never wanted to know. People tell you time heals. That is a lie. Time doesn't heal. Time teaches you how to carry the pain without letting it crush you every single day. Some days I carry it well. Some days it drags behind me like chains. I replay the moment she handed me the phone again and again. I ask myself why. Why was she so careless? Why was she so confident? Why did she believe I would never look? And then I understand something even more painful. She handed me that phone because in her mind she had already replaced me. You don't fear losing something you no longer value. That realization hurt more than the messages themselves. I remember how I used to look at love, with hope, with excitement, with belief. Now I look at it with caution, with questions, with walls built high enough to protect my heart, but strong enough to trap it too. I hate that this happened to me, not because I was weak, but because I was honest, because I gave loyalty without conditions, because I showed up every day believing that love meant something. And yes, I am angry, angry at her, angry at myself, angry at the lies that society tells men like me, that being patient, calm, and faithful guarantees you respect. It doesn't.
Respect is not given for good behavior. It is given when someone values you. I lost weight during that period, not because I wanted to, but because pain steals your appetite. Sleep abandoned me. My work suffered. My focus shattered. I smiled in public and broke apart in private. No one tells you how humiliating betrayal is, how it makes you question your masculinity, your worth, your place in someone's life. I wondered what the other man had that I didn't. Was he richer, more exciting, more reckless, or was he simply available when I wasn't? Then I realized the truth that freed me a little. Cheating is not about what you lack. It is about what the other person lacks: integrity, discipline, empathy. I stopped blaming myself slowly, painfully, one day at a time. But trust is a different story. I now understand why some people never ask questions, why some people choose not to know, why some people look away when suspicion knocks. Because knowledge is heavy, and once you carry it, your hands are never empty again. If you are listening to me right now, maybe you are where I once was, suspicious, uneasy, restless, feeling something is wrong but afraid to confirm it. Let me tell you something from the deepest part of my soul. If you go looking, be prepared to lose innocence. Be prepared to lose sleep. Be prepared to lose the version of love you once believed in. And if you find nothing, you will never be the same either, because doubt changes you even when it is unfounded. That phone, that small glowing screen, it carries secrets powerful enough to reshape lives. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what it cost me. I survived it, but survival is not victory. Victory is peace, and peace took a long time to return to me. Some nights I still sit in silence, thinking about how easily trust is broken and how painfully it is rebuilt. Some mornings I wake up grateful that I chose myself, even if it meant walking away wounded. I'm learning again, learning to love myself without apology, learning to trust my intuition, learning that walking away is not weakness, it is wisdom. So hear me clearly. Tafadhali, usishike simu ya mpenzi wako. Not unless you are ready to face whatever truth lives there. Not unless you are ready to choose yourself afterward. My name is Roy. I'm 38 years old, and this pain, this lesson, this scar, it changed me forever. If you are still here listening, thank you. You are not
Even after
alone,
everything,
and whatever
there
you
are
decide
moments
to
when
do
I catch
next,
myself
make sure
missing
it
the man
leads
I
you
used to
toward
be.
peace,
The
not
man who
curiosity
trusted
that
without
destroys you.
calculating risk. The man who believed love was simple if you were honest and consistent. That man is gone. And sometimes I mourn him more than I mourn the relationship. People don't talk about this part. They talk about moving on like it's a switch you flip. They don't talk about the quiet anger that follows you into new rooms. They don't talk about how betrayal rewires your brain. I became hyper-aware, too aware. I notice patterns now. I notice delays in replies, changes in tone, sudden privacy, new passcodes, phones turned face down. And I hate that about myself. I hate that someone else's choices turn me into a man who scans for danger instead of connection. I hate that my heart now asks questions before it feels anything. There were nights I sat alone asking myself if love was even worth it anymore, if vulnerability was just another word for stupidity, if commitment was just a one-sided gamble. I felt foolish. At 38 years old, feeling like I had failed a test I didn't even know I was taking. What hurt the most wasn't the cheating itself. It was the realization that I had been living next to someone who was emotionally absent while pretending to be present. She laughed with me, slept next to me, planned with me, all while living a separate life in her phone.
That level of deception messes with your sense of reality. It makes you question your ability to read people, to judge character, to protect yourself. I remember staring at my own reflection one night and asking, "How did you not see this coming?" And the answer terrified me, because I did see signs. I just chose love over instinct. That is the part no one warns you about. Love can silence your inner voice if you let it. And when you ignore that voice for too long, the consequences come loudly. After the relationship ended, I went quiet for a long time. I pulled away from friends, from conversations, from explanations. Because how do you explain this pain without sounding bitter? How do you talk about betrayal without reliving it? So I carried it alone. I threw myself into work, into routines, into distractions, anything to avoid sitting with the truth. But the truth waits patiently. It always catches up. Eventually, I had to face myself. Not her, not the other man, myself. I had to accept that loving deeply means risking deeply, and that sometimes the risk doesn't pay off. But I also learned something else, something important. The fact that I was capable of trusting, loving, and committing fully, that was not my weakness, that was my strength. Her betrayal does not cancel my integrity. Her lies do not define my worth. It took a long time to believe that. If you are listening to me right now and you are hurting right now, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not stupid for trusting. You are not weak for loving. And you are not broken beyond repair. But you do need to protect yourself. Curiosity can be dangerous when your heart is already fragile. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away without looking back, without opening doors that cannot be closed again. That phone, it holds truths that demand consequences, and if you are not ready to act on what you find, the knowledge will eat you alive. I am not against truth. I am against unnecessary suffering. That is why I repeat this warning with everything I have left in me. Please do not touch your partner's phone, not unless you are ready to lose the version of your relationship you currently believe in, not unless you are strong enough to choose yourself afterward. My name is Roy. I am 38 years old. I survived betrayal, but survival came at a cost. Learn from my pain. Protect your peace.
I still remember the exact moment
sometimes
I
the most
accepted
dangerous
that I would
thing in a
never be the same
relationship
again.
is not
It
another
wasn't
person.
during the discovery.
It is the
It wasn't
truth
during the
you
breakup.
are not ready
It
to
was
face.
weeks later when I realized I no longer felt excited about anything involving love. That scared me, because anger I could understand, pain I could survive, but numbness? Numbness felt like losing a part of my humanity. I would sit with friends and listen to them talk about relationships, about trust, about communication, and inside I felt detached, almost cynical, like I had seen behind the curtain and could never enjoy the show again. I started asking myself hard questions, questions no one prepares you for. Can you truly love again after betrayal? Or do you just tolerate someone new while guarding yourself? Can trust ever be whole again? Or is it always patched together, fragile, conditional? I didn't like the answers I was finding. Some nights I replayed everything in my head, not because I wanted to, but because my mind refused to let go. I imagined alternative versions of myself, the version who never touched the phone, the version who stayed ignorant and happy, the version who never learned the truth. And then I would stop myself, because ignorance would not have saved me. It would have only delayed the pain. She was already gone long before I touched that phone. The phone didn't destroy the relationship. It revealed the corpse. That realization helped me breathe again. I began to understand that betrayal is not a single act. It is a series of choices. every message sent, every lie told, every moment of intimacy given to someone else. And she chose those things repeatedly. I stopped romanticizing the relationship. I stopped defending her in my mind. I stopped asking what I could have done differently. Some people betray not because they are unhappy, but because they are empty, and you cannot fill someone who refuses to be whole. I had to grieve, not just the relationship, but the future I imagined, the plans, the version of life I thought I was building. Grief is ugly. It doesn't move in a straight line. One day you feel strong, the next day you feel like you're drowning. But slowly, something shifted. I started reclaiming myself, my routines, my boundaries, my sense of self-worth. I learned to sit with discomfort instead of escaping it. I learned that anger, when understood, can be a teacher. It showed me where my boundaries were violated. It showed me what I would never tolerate again. And that is something I am grateful for. Today, I am more careful with my heart, but not closed. More observant, but not paranoid. More honest with myself above all else. I do not rush love anymore. I do not ignore my instincts anymore. And I do not sacrifice my peace for someone else's comfort. If there is one thing I want you to take from my story, it is this. Trust should feel safe, not forced. Love should feel mutual, not confusing. And if something inside you feels wrong, listen to it. You don't need proof to leave a situation that is breaking you. You don't need screenshots to justify choosing yourself. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away without answers, because answers can wound deeper than questions. I touched that phone because I thought truth would bring clarity. It did, but clarity came with scars. So if you are standing where I once stood, phone in hand, heart racing, mind spinning, pause. Ask yourself what you truly need, peace or proof. My name is Roy. I'm 38 years old, and this is not a story about a phone. It is a story about trust, about betrayal, about pain, and about learning, slowly, painfully, to choose yourself again.